Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It is your host of the biggest nose, JZ Courtside, coming at y'all today on Monday, April 13th. Guys, welcome back. My apologies for being absent last Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. As I told you, my buddy from Detroit was visiting, so that's on me. I take full ownership of that, but it's the playoffs. We're done. The NBA season has concluded. I just want to say a quick thank you to everybody who joined us for this ride for our very first NBA season. This is going to be the start of something very special. We're not done, but our first regular season is in the books. You know, I'm very, very happy for the transition I made from video games to the NBA. And I just want to take a moment to say thank you to everybody who tuned in throughout the season, whether it was every day, once a week. You guys who made it a part of your regularly scheduled program, a part of your actual day, I appreciate it very much. And just so everybody's clear, we started from absolutely nothing in a sense of my live streams and my podcast when it came to when I started the NBA content. You know, when we were gaming, we were averaging 50, 60, 70, whatever. And then like in our peaks, we're averaging hundreds. And I can say with full confidence that making this switch, yes, it was a big gamble, but you know, with you guys watching and everybody who will soon watch, I think we're in for a lot of fun. Not just for the playoffs, not just for the finals, but for next season, this next season after that, the season after that. I think we have a very, very bright future with podcasting and with talking NBA. So I just want to say thank you, everybody. I appreciate you all for joining for the ride, and this has been an awesome regular season. Honestly, I wasn't expecting this regular season to be as good as it was, but it was incredible. And yeah, for me, for you, I hope everybody got to enjoy this basketball season. I know a lot of people didn't, but I did. So, guys, you're probably wondering, what are we doing in today's episode? Well, we're going to be talking about the top 10 teams from each conference and go over what their win, what was it? Their over-under win projection was going into the season. I went ahead and took notes of every single team that I talked about in my prediction episode. I talked about all of my predictions on whether or not these teams were over or under their win line that they had from MGM. And that's what we're going to be doing in today's episode. We're going to be talking about the teams that surprised me. We're going to be talking about a lot of these teams, okay? And then we are going to just get into for tomorrow, we're going to be talking about the awards, my predictions for the NBA awards, and any other news that is worth talking about when the play-in starts tomorrow. That's insane. It's happened so quick. So now that you guys understand what we're doing in today's episode, podcast listeners, be sure to leave a 5-star rating and review. TikTok, YouTube, be sure to drop some likes, follows, subs, all that jazz. And yeah, Twitch chat, you guys already know. You guys got the easiest jobs in the whole entire in the whole entire world, all right? All you guys got to do is sit back, relax, grab a cup of coffee, an energy drink, whatever, and enjoy the show. All right, guys. Let's get started, and I'm probably going to start with the bottom of the Eastern Conference, okay? And then we're going to work our way up to the number one in the East, and like I said, I'm going to tell you what I had for each team, so whether I had their over or under their win projection, okay? Let's go ahead and start with the 10th seed. Actually, I guess, is there any other news from the 11th through 15th? I had the under on the Wizards. I was right. I had the over on the Pacers. I was wrong. The Pacers line was set at Indiana 37.5. I was wrong about the Pacers. I think everybody was wrong about the Pacers. I think everybody was wrong about them. So I'm not that hurt about it. I was right about the Nets. The Bulls, I was right about. I said this is going to be the first year that I believe they missed the play-in. And they did. I was right about that. The Bucks, I was wrong about. I said with Giannis, I just don't see how this team can miss a play-in spot or the playoffs team. So I was wrong about the Bucks. I was wrong. I mean, bro, the Milwaukee Bucks line was 43.5. Like, it was pretty generous as is. They didn't say that they'd be good. They said they'd be barely over 500. And then the Miami Heat. Let's get started with our first play-in team in the Eastern Conference. The Miami Heat. Their win projection was 37.5. 37.5. I said over on that. because 37.5, I said they're going to make the play-in. 37 isn't going to make the play-in this year. And guess what? I called it exactly. I said they're going to be in the play-in yet again. I said they're going to be in the play-in. Did I think that they'd be the 10th seed in the play-in? I don't think that matters. You know, when I was being told by our biggest Heat fan in the world, who, by the way, I haven't seen in a month now. He's literally vanished from the face of the earth over the last month. He might have died. He said that they would be the 3rd seed in the East. 3rd. Well, they're the 10th. And they're exactly where I predicted. Yeah, the Miami Heat didn't do anything at the trade deadline. They didn't do anything in the offseason. They didn't do anything in the trade deadline. They're the 10th seed. The Miami Heat, honestly, can I see them making it out of the play-in? Yeah, I can. The Hornets are going to have to monumental choke. And yeah, whether you're talking about the 76ers or Magic, again, I could see it happening. So can they make the play-in? Or sorry, can they make the playoffs? Probably. Can they miss the playoffs? For Miami Heat fans' sake, yes, you should. You absolutely should miss the play-in. You should absolutely miss the playoffs. You should just lose. In case you guys don't know how the play-in works, the 7th and 8th seed play, and whoever wins that single game elimination, they get the 7th seed in the Eastern Conference, and the team that loses in the 7-8 falls down and versus the winner of the 10-9 matchup, and then they play, and then whoever wins that gets the 8th seed, okay? So I know there's a Heat fan out there that is rooting for their team to win, but I assure you the best case scenario is for the Miami Heat to lose. So I was right. I said over on their over-under, but they're going to make the play-in. And of course, well, ladies and gentlemen, they fell into the play-in. Now, let's talk about a team that I was right about. The Charlotte Hornets win line. Actually, I'm right about both these teams. I don't know why I said it like that. The Charlotte Hornets win line was 27.5. And I said going into the season, and I made sure to confirm everything I said about all of these teams right before I started this podcast. So everything was like safe and I remembered it well in my head, right? Well, ladies and gents, I said the Charlotte Hornets are going to have a leap this year. Now, did I know it would be 44 wins? I'm not going to try and lie about that. I'm not going to lie about that. I said they'd have a leap. I said they were going to get that over, and if healthy, I believe they could be the Pistons of last year. And guess what, ladies and gentlemen? They finished with the exact same record. The exact same record as the Pistons last season. Except the Pistons last season got the 6th seed. They unfortunately got the 9th. So, what do I see the Charlotte Hornets doing? Well, if you were to tell me the Hornets will make the playoffs, I won't be surprised. But if they miss the playoffs, because all they got to do is lose one game, they're in the worst position they could be. If they miss, I also won't be that surprised. I don't know if you guys watched them over the last week, 2 weeks. They have not looked good. They're choking every lead they have. They can't compete with the better teams in the fourth quarter. You guys have watched it in the last couple weeks. My Pistons literally were neck and neck with them for 3 quarters. And then in the fourth quarter, after LaMelo talked shit, the Pistons buried them. It was literally the Hornets were up by like 3 or 4 points going into the fourth. And then the Pistons just said, all right, let's try a little. And then they locked them up and the Pistons won by 20. So the best case scenario for the Charlotte Hornets would be, I guess in a win way, because they want to make the playoffs, would be the 8th seed. It'd be the 8th seed. That's their best case scenario that they can achieve. That would mean that they're up against the Detroit Pistons. Ladies and gentlemen, people think, I see on Twitter all the time, I need 7 games of this. I need 7 games of Pistons Hornets. I assure you, ladies and gentlemen, it is not going 7 games. It's not going 7 games. No matter what, it's not going 7 games. I don't care how many 3-pointers they put up. I don't care how many 3-pointers they make. It's not going 7 games with Detroit. Detroit has dominated them in almost every single game this season. Even without their main guys in a couple of them, they won't stand a chance. But I think you still need this team to make the playoffs. So I am still rooting for the Hornets to make it out. They, of course, want to make it out. After a great 2026 calendar year, it'd be great. And you know what's hilarious? The TikTok told me the playoffs are different. Yes, I'm so sure that the Hornets, who have not made the playoffs, I'm sure it'll be very different for them. Yes, you're right. The playoffs are different. I think the Pistons would absolutely stomp on them in the playoffs. In fact, I think they had a better chance at winning games in the regular season, which they still couldn't do against Detroit. So as far as the playoffs being different, yeah, you're absolutely right. The Pistons would stomp the Hornets in the playoffs. They have no answer for Duren. They have no answer for Cade. Hell, they don't even have an answer for Tobias Harris. Tobias Harris cooks this team every time they play him. They don't have an answer for anybody. Plus, they have no playoff experience. So the Hornets, with all of this being said, they should still try and make the playoffs. They should. Otherwise, this season was it's a failed season in my opinion. If you improve this much and still miss the playoffs, that's going to be very unfortunate. And you know what's insane? I could still see the Miami Heat beating the Hornets. I could. Now, mind you, I'm saying this now, but the Hornets very well could beat them by 40 tomorrow. I'm not exaggerating whatsoever. I think we all understand that that's sort of how the Miami Heat works. They either win a game huge or they just get absolutely smoked. So we'll see. They are 1-0 when Bam Adebayo scores 83 points. So maybe Bam just needs to lock in a little bit. I want to give a shout out to Eli. Eli, thank you so much for the follow on Twitch. I appreciate it very, very much. TikTok, if you guys are enjoying the stream, be sure to swing on into the Twitch stream. That's JZ Uncut on Twitch. Get away from all the morons in there saying that the Pistons aren't built for the playoffs. That's my favorite comment. We're not even talking about the Pistons yet, but that's my favorite comment because, ladies and gentlemen, you know what team in the East is actually built for the playoffs? The Pistons. They have the second best defense in the NBA. They cause the most turnovers in the entire NBA. They literally force the most turnovers by any team in the NBA. They get the most block shots in the NBA. They get the most steals in the NBA. That is quite literally built for the playoffs. If you're going to tell me that they don't have three-point shooting, then yes, I can agree with you. I can agree. But at least make sense when you insult another basketball team. Defense is literally built for the playoffs. Now, let's move on from the Charlotte Hornets, and I think that's a great comment that Anthony said. Anthony said, this is a leap for the Hornets, but this is probably their peak too. And I sadly agree. I really do. Yeah, we'll see. They had a great finish to the season, but then obviously they choked at the end. They're just not experienced, and some of those games felt like playoff games, and they couldn't handle it. LaMelo still looks a bit unserious, and I just don't think it's, yeah. Let's move on up to our next team. Oh boy. The Orlando Magic. Well, I've talked about this team too much this year. I've talked about this team way too much this year. Way too much. TikTok is talking about, okay, this is the last time I'm acknowledging the TikTok chat. So if you guys want to talk with us, be sure to come through to the Twitch stream. TikTok said Cade Cunningham is a playoff dropper. Cade has only been in the playoffs one time, bro. And I think he averaged like 25 or 26 points in his one playoffs. I mean, all right, TikTok, you guys go crazy over there. We will be in the Twitch stream. If you guys want to talk to me and the rest of my community, be sure to come through to the Twitch stream. JZ Uncut on Twitch. I don't really want to talk a whole lot about the Orlando Magic. I don't really want to, but I guess we have to. It's a part of the episode. Health wasn't on their side. The coach wasn't on their side. Paolo Banchero regressed. I mean, bro, where do I start, man? Okay, let's just start with the head of the snake. Let's start with Jamal Mosley. He should be fired today. He should be fired today. Okay, very last comment I'm reading from the TikTok, I promise. If you double Cade, nobody's helping him. Yes, because the Pistons just went 9-2 without Cade. You're right. TikTok just be saying shit, bro. The TikTok is just saying shit, ladies and gentlemen. Just closed out of the TikTok chat. If you guys want to talk with me, be sure to come to the actual better view and experience in the Twitch stream. JZ Uncut on Twitch. Jamal Mosley should be fired today. The head coach for the Orlando Magic should be fired today. He should not be here. It shouldn't happen. He should have been fired 2 weeks into the NBA season. He should have. Yet he's still here. Clearly, he doesn't have a hold of his locker room. He just doesn't. He doesn't have a hold of his locker room. Paolo Banchero has regressed, and it's so weird because, like, this should have been the season that Paolo takes his leap, like Cade did last year, like other players did last year. This should have been the year in which he took his leap. Now, I would like to say, I took the under on the Magic's over-under line at the start of the season. They were at 51.5, ladies and gentlemen. 51.5. 51.5. And I said, and I watched back my podcast predicting the NBA season. I watched it back. And I said, shockingly, 51.5. And I said, no way. I said, no way. I said, they have this team leaping the Pistons. They have this team leaping the Raptors. They have this team basically leaping the Knicks. And I said, there's no way. There's no way the Magic are going to leap all of these teams just by adding Desmond Bane. Now, Bane's been great. He's been great. He's been doing exactly what they wanted. But unfortunate for Bane, they don't have a playmaker. They employ Jalen Suggs. They employ Wendell Carter Jr. They employ Jonathan Isaac, all for a lot of money. Now, this is bad, ladies and gents. This is bad. And I'll tell you what the Orlando Magic are going to do. They're going to look at their books this summer. They're going to see that they have a top 3 highest payroll. Top 3 highest payroll, ladies and gentlemen. They are going to look and they are going to say, damn, what did we do? We have the 3rd highest payroll in the entire NBA. The 3rd highest payroll. But at least we have our picks, but they don't. They traded all of them for Desmond Bane. And now their starting center is Wendell Carter Jr. and their starting point guard is Jalen Suggs. I'm sorry, Orlando fans, but the Magic might look at this team roster this summer and say, dude, we got to make a move. And unfortunately, the guy who I believe is the best player on the team is probably going to get moved because his contract is a little bit nicer than Paolo's, and they're not going to move Paolo. There's too much upside. I think you're going to hear Franz Wagner's name thrown around a lot this summer. I think you're going to hear Franz Wagner's name thrown out in a lot of trades this summer. And whether they do it or don't, I think you have to. I think you have to at least consider doing something. This team is not a championship contending team, and yet they had him at 51.5 wins. It's crazy. And I'd like to remind everybody, Franz Wagner was not injury prone until last season. He only started getting hurt last season. He was playing 70 plus games every year. And then they got hurt. If you guys want my opinion, the Magic making it into the playoffs, they would be they could be the 7th or 8th seed. They have the option of being one or the other. And I'll be honest with everybody right now. Whether it's the Pistons or it's the Celtics, I think the series is over in 5 regardless. Straight up. I think it is. The Orlando Magic, this was a failed season. I think even if their line was at 46 wins, I think it's still a failed season. I think it is. Jalen Suggs has a head full of rocks. Franz Wagner can't stay healthy this year. Wendell Carter Jr. is not a starting caliber center. Paolo Banchero. What can I say about Paolo, man? What can I say? I expected the leap, and instead he settled for mid-range jumpers after mid-range jumpers after mid-range jumpers. He's 6'10", 260 pounds. Nobody can stop you in the paint. I watched Paolo drive to the paint and look absolutely unstoppable. And yet you just settle for 3 for mid-rangers. I've talked about the stat enough, but players who played a minimum of 200 minutes this season, Paolo Banchero has the lowest percentage from the mid-range in the entire NBA. In the entire NBA. Let's talk about our last play-in team. The Philadelphia 76ers, I don't have much to say about this team. Listen, man. 45 wins. Their line was 43.5. I picked the under on that. I said I'm not ever taking the over on a Philly team. And honestly, I will say The 76ers are in a lot better shape than when I predicted their season last season. Like going into this season, I am way more, if I am a 76ers fan, I am way happier now than when I was last summer. And I think all Philly fans can agree. Tyrese Maxey took that huge leap. Now, I didn't think VJ Edgecombe would be this good this soon. Dominic Barlow, the two-way guy, incredible player. He's going to be a very, very serviceable player for a long time in the NBA. Dem Bona, he's okay. Paul George has been all right. Obviously, he got suspended. But honestly, y'all, I think it's pretty simple what they'd have to do, right? I think it's pretty simple. I think they have two moves. I think it's fire Nick Nurse, and I think it's figure out what we can do with Joel Embiid. Just figure it out. I'm sick of waiting. I'm sick of when we have Embiid, we look unstoppable. I'm sick of that because it's never going to happen. He's out again while I was away last week. He got appendicitis. He's out again. I think we just need to stop this pretend shit and just end it, man. End it. Find an injury like exemption thing on Joel Embiid and just try ending it, because I think they'd be a better team if they didn't have to worry about whether or not they had their center that night or the other night or that night or any of that, you know? So I think it's just over. Hang it up. But I think it's still a bright future for Philly fans. Genuinely, I do. I think right now, way better scenario than they were in last summer when I predicted them. For real, shout out VJ Edgecombe and Tyrese Maxey. I was not expecting that sort of a leap. Now, we are in our playoff teams. First and foremost, let's go ahead and look at the bracket that we have on the screen right now. We have the first seeded Pistons waiting for their opponent next Sunday. In the West, the Thunder are waiting for their first matchup next Sunday. The Celtics are waiting for their first matchup next Sunday. And the Spurs are waiting for their first round matchup next Sunday. All the top seeds don't play until the second night of the NBA playoffs. But in the first round, next Saturday, we have the Toronto Raptors against the Cleveland Cavaliers. Now, the Knicks were hoping they had the Raptors, but unfortunately not. It's going to be the Toronto Raptors versus the Cleveland Cavaliers, and I think this series is going to be interesting. I think it's going to be interesting. I can see it going 6 games. I really could. Cavs, obviously, are my predicted winner. The Minnesota Timberwolves versus the Denver Nuggets. I believe this is the 3rd year in a row. And I believe the Spurs now have like the toughest path from every team in the NBA. I believe the Spurs have the toughest path to the finals in the entire NBA. They have to play one of the, the 7th seed. Yeah, they'll have to play the 7th seed, which will be the who will it be? It'll be the Suns. It'll be the Suns. So they have that. They have the Suns, and then they got to play the probably Nuggets, and then probably Oklahoma. So Spurs have definitely the toughest path to the finals. Like I said, it's going to have to be like the Suns, the Nuggets, and the Thunder, and then whoever makes it out of the finals. So it's going to be interesting. I guess the Nuggets, yes, the Nuggets will have the tougher one because it's the Timberwolves, and then the Spurs, and then, yeah, the Thunder. So OKC has got the easiest path to the finals. They might not have to verse the Spurs or the Nuggets. They might not have to. So it's going to be interesting. Yeah, we'll see. Now, as far as the Hawks go, let's talk about the Atlanta Hawks, ladies and gentlemen. Let us talk about the Atlanta Hawks and where I basically had this team. Well, for the Atlanta Hawks, I predicted that they would be, let me make sure. I picked the under on the Atlanta Hawks. Their win line was 47.5. And guess what? I was right again. Now, what's amazing to me is the fact that they rated them so highly. And this is what I talked about going into the season. I said, how dare they put the Orlando Magic and the Atlanta Hawks over the Pistons? That's what I said. You guys can watch back my old podcast predicting the NBA season if you want. But I said, how could they put the Hawks and Magic over the Pistons? How do they expect those two teams to leap that team that quickly? Well, I was right about taking their under, but it's a very different under. And I even said in that podcast that they're probably going to be trading Trae Young if it doesn't look like it's panning out in the first half of the season. And guess what? They ended up trading Trae Young, and they went on a hot run. And the Hawks are the 6th seed, and they're going to be up against the New York Knicks. I think it's going to be a fun series. I think it's going to be a close competitive series. It shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. The Atlanta Hawks don't have a center, and that's going to be their ultimate downfall. I think Karl-Anthony Towns is going to get hot. I think Karl-Anthony Towns is going to be the reason why the New York Knicks win this series. I think Karl-Anthony Towns is going to be averaging well over 23, 24, 25 points per game because they're going to have Onyeka Okongwu or Jalen Johnson on him, and neither of them can stop Karl-Anthony Towns. But I think it's going to be a fun, close series of like 5 games. I think realistically it's going to be 5 games, but I think it's going to be a close 4 out of the 5 games. So shout out the Hawks for making it this far, bro. They also have the Pelicans pick next or this summer. So if anybody should be scared of a team in the East, it should be the Atlanta Hawks. Because, yeah, they don't have a center right now, but they will. And anybody who says Cat is soft, I agree with you, but the Atlanta Hawks don't have a center. The Hawks got Nickeil Alexander-Walker. They got Jalen Johnson. Dyson Daniels is going to be doing some damage. We'll see. Remember, this is the first playoffs for a lot of these players on the Hawks. So not only are they going to have, guys who don't have experience, but they also don't have a center. They don't have a front court. And Nickeil Alexander-Walker is not averaging 40 precisely. Max, I see your question you keep asking in the TikTok. I already talked about that. Draco, thank you for the follow on Twitch. I appreciate you very, very much. If you guys want a better viewing experience and you guys want to talk to me, ask questions, talk to my community, be sure to come through to the Twitch stream. It's a much better community over here. That's Jay-Z Uncut on Twitch. It's a much better viewing experience over here, ladies and gentlemen. TikTok is saying Hawks will upset. They won't, but you can say that. Purple app has ads. Well, guess what? If you watch 3 Twitch streams on the Purple app, I'll gift you a $5 subscription. If you watch 3 Twitch streams in a row, I will gift you a $5 subscription. That's it. That's all. It's that easy. And yeah, I'm not going to repeat myself because I post these on YouTube. So if you want to watch them, just watch them on YouTube or watch them on Twitch or watch them on Spotify or watch them on Apple. This guy said, you can't answer it for the people who haven't heard. Stuck up. I upload these. If you want to watch them, watch them. If you're not here live, eat me. So I'm being asked, what's wrong with the Hawks center? They don't have one. Onyeka Okongwu is not a true center. He's not a true center. He can't hold his own. He's not that big. And Onyeka Okongwu is basically a small forward. Basically. So yeah, he's not really a true center. Let's go ahead and move up to the Toronto Raptors. Now, the Toronto Raptors is an interesting one. I picked the over on the Raptors. Now, why'd I do that? It's because their line was pretty easy to hit. They were at 39.5 wins, and I said, you know what? Their team is expensive. I'm willing to bet they do better. And, well, they got 46 wins. Now, and I'll be honest, the Toronto Raptors are not that scary, but they are really good defensively. The only issue about the Toronto Raptors is that their half-court offense goes from average to absolutely historically bad. And I think that's going to be their downfall come playoff time. The fact that their offense ranges so heavily between average and downright horrible, it's a bit scary, but it's against the Cavaliers, so maybe they do have a chance. I don't know. Their half-court is very bad. It's very, very bad. But they have good defense, and I think that might be able to do enough. We'll see. I've seen Brandon Ingram get exposed in the playoffs before. I believe he shot like 36% in his last playoff appearance with the Pelicans. We'll see, man. Lock the Trio. Thank you so much for the follow on Twitch. I appreciate you very much. Trio, if you watch 3 Twitch streams in a row, then I'll gift you a $5 subscription, bro, so you no longer get ads. Yanni, thank you for the follow on Twitch as well. I appreciate it. Be sure to join the Discord as well. ! Discord in the Twitch chat, guys. We'd love to have you join up. We're going to be doing watch parties in the Discord throughout the playoffs, so be sure to join the Discord as well. And I think that's a great point. This guy said, as a Hawks fan, I have to say Knicks in 5, but this will be a great learning experience. I absolutely agree. I think this is going to be very valuable information to learn about your young team. I think it's a great time that you guys locked in a playoff spot and not a play-in after trading your franchise guy. Hawks fans, you guys can't lose. Like, even if you lose the series, which you will, you can't lose. You can't. You guys made the playoffs. You guys have the Pelicans first round. You guys have their pick. Sorry, Liam, for reminding everybody again. You have the Pelicans pick. You made the playoffs. You have probably the most improved player of the year. You have another guy that's a candidate for most improved player of the year. You got insane young talent. You got a great vet in like a CJ. Obviously, he's expiring. You can't lose. And you got a pick coming your way. You can't lose. Shout out the Hawks, man. Shout out the Hawks. You guys did your thing. You guys did your thing. We'll be talking about them. It's not possible, but we will be talking about them. Guys, remember, if you do watch the Twitch stream for 3 streams in a row, I will gift you a $5 subscription so you no longer get ads. And remember to join the Discord, everybody. Exclamation point Discord in the Twitch stream. Let's go ahead and talk about our next team, the Cleveland Cavaliers. Now, I picked their over. I picked the Cleveland Cavaliers over at 56.5. I was wrong. They had a lot of injuries. I think if they were fully healthy, they would have hit that line, but they got hurt a lot throughout the year. The Cavaliers are an interesting one because while they have Donovan Mitchell, Jared Allen, Evan Mobley, and James Harden, you know, they got Max Strus back and he's been insane. I know a lot of people say they can't believe in the Cleveland Cavaliers. I get it. And I have something interesting to say, guys. I have an interesting thing to say. And, you know, if you guys have watched any, and I know most of you haven't, everybody who talks about the Pistons, they typically haven't watched them. The Cavaliers picked the Pistons. They picked the Pistons. They hand-picked the Pistons. And I told everybody the only team I'm truly afraid of for the Pistons losing in the second round is the Cleveland Cavaliers. Because of the matchups. They match up really well against the Pistons with their front court. The issue in which what the Cavaliers did at the end of the season, they could have taken the 3rd seed. They could have. They had every opportunity to take the 3rd seed from the Knicks. And instead, they opted to stay in the 4th seed. Now, guys, I have to be honest, and this is not my bias, I promise. They picked the Pistons. They picked them. They handpicked them. They said, if we have a chance at making the conference finals, let alone the finals, the Pistons are our best chance in the second round. Well, I have a news flash for everybody. While I believe the Cavaliers match up better against the Detroit Pistons, because this is probably going to be the second round, the Pistons all season have thrived off of hatred. They've thrived off of doubt all year. All year. All year. People think they just walked into 60 wins. They didn't. They had convincing win after convincing win after convincing win. Teams who were on 10-game win streaks, teams who were on 12-game win streaks, they all ended when they played the Pistons. Now, JB Bickerstaff, the former head coach of the year for the Cleveland Cavaliers. The Pistons are going to be trying hard for the JB Bickerstaff. The Cleveland Cavaliers handpicked the Pistons. The Pistons are going to take some disrespect to that. So it's going to be very interesting. It's going to be very, very interesting to see what happens. But yeah, obviously first round, it's going to be the Raptors versus Cleveland. They should win that. Should be interesting. It should be very interesting. The Cavs, I mean, hey man, they very different from this year. It was a very, very, very different from last year. When I gave this line, it was with Darius Garland. I wasn't expecting them to trade Darius Garland. I think more of us were expecting that they would trade Jared Allen, right? That's what I was expecting. Lambie asked, what actually happens if the Cavs get bumped in the first round? That won't happen, but I mean, that won't happen. That won't happen. I love peeking at the TikTok chat because I get reminded to not look at the TikTok chat. This is going to be the last message I read from them. Bobby said, I promise you, y'all see the Hornets in the first, y'all not getting past. Hornets fans, I root for y'all, bro. I root for y'all. Let's stop spreading absolute blasphemy. Okay? Let's stop spreading absolute. The Hornets have gotten dog smacked by the Pistons all year long. The playoffs are different. The playoffs are different. It's not. In fact, it'll help the Pistons more against the Hornets in the first round. They won't stand a chance. In fact, the Heat will put up a better fight than the Charlotte Hornets against the Pistons in the first round. Point blank period. I know basketball more than you do. Beezy actually just came in and said 10 seed run loading. Haha. Good morning, fam. Ladies and gentlemen, our Heat fan, who we haven't seen in a month because he's been in hiding because his basketball team is not good, has just returned to the stream. Very, very fun. No, you were unbanned 2 days after that. You were untimed out 2 days after that. I timed you out for a week, and I untimed you out 2 days after that. You stayed an extra 2 weeks gone. That was you. You were untimed out 2 weeks ago. Let's continue, y'all. Let's continue. I'm not reading the TikTok. If you guys want to talk with me, talk with the chat, interact with all of us, and enjoy the better viewing experience, be sure to come through to the Twitch stream. I'm not conversing with TikTokers. I'm just not. You guys are brain dead. Let's move on to the New York Knicks. The New York Knicks line was 53.5. And I said the over. I'm wrong. Their line was 53.5. I was wrong. They won 53 exact. Now, the Knicks are probably in really good shape right now going into the playoffs, and I'll tell you why. Karl-Anthony Towns is going to feast on the Atlanta Hawks. He's going to feast. And I think Knicks fans, what you guys should be paying attention to is what Karl-Anthony Towns does in the first round. I know Knicks fans, you guys are disappointed with how this year went out, but listen, man, what this run depends on, is getting Cat hot early, man. It's getting Cat hot early. They don't have anybody to defend Karl-Anthony Towns. They don't. Yeah, Karl-Anthony Towns is soft. He's soft. I've said it 100 times this year as well. I've said it so many times this year. But against the Hawks, they got no answer for him. So I think they should continue focusing on getting Cat involved. They should. They should focus on getting Cat involved, and that's all that matters. Jalen Brunson can win you this series on his own. He can. But Nickeil Alexander-Walker's not going to be averaging 40 points per the series. If you can get Cat involved, I think you're good. I think you're good. You're going to set yourself up well for success. Because, Bobby, I like bringing all my educated individuals from the TikTok to the Twitch stream. I don't give a fuck about the TikTok. I care about some of the people in there, the guys who don't talk shit for an hour. If you guys want more quality streams, come to the Twitch. Jay-Z Uncut. All right, let's move on from the Knicks. I think, honestly, it's going to be a very fun playoffs, man. It's going to be a very fun playoffs. It really is. So what? They're versing the Hawks in the first round, and then they got to verse the Celtics again. They got to verse the Celtics again. So it's going to be interesting, man. It's not going to be an easy run for anybody of the top seeds. It's not. Okay, for anybody that's not understanding what we're doing, people keep saying, what about the Blazers? What about the Suns? Guys, we're going in order from bottom to the top of the Eastern Conference, and then we'll get to the West. Okay? Can you guys, what about the Blazers? Nobody gives a fuck about the Blazers. How about the Blazers? How about that? Is that what you want? I'm just going to skip over the Blazers next time. When we get there, I'm just going to skip over them. The Blazers. You want me to skip over the Blazers? I'll skip over them. All right. Let's continue. Dex, thank you so much for the follow on Twitch. I appreciate you very, very much. Shout out to you for leaving the TikTok and coming through to the Twitch stream. I appreciate you, Dex. Guys, remember, if you watch 3 Twitch streams in a row, I will gift you a $5 subscription so you stick around here, okay? All right, let's move on to the Boston Celtics. Now, Boston, I was wrong. I watched back my prediction for this season. I was wrong. I said under. I said the Celtics are under. I'm telling you right now. I'm not going to sit here and lie. The Boston line was 41.5. I picked under. And now I think I've become an honorary Beantown boy all season long. They won 56 games. They surpassed my expectations. I think they surpassed everybody's expectations. I said Jaylen Brown is going to have a huge rise this year. I did call that MVP candidate. Incredible player. He learned how to foul bait. He's literally just as egregious as Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Luka Doncic. He's a literal disgusting watch every time he drives to the hoop, but apparently that's what all the great players do. So Jaylen Brown had a tremendous leap. He learned how to get his foul calls, and he's a very, very good player. He still can't dribble with his left hand, but I think now when you look at this team and you see Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, it's a whole lot scarier. And what's funny is people still doubt that duo People still doubt that duo. People still say, can Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum put it together? Bro, they won a championship. Why are we asking this question? Why are we asking this question? Can they work together? Yes, they can work together. Yes. Yes, we've seen it. I can't believe I'm still seeing people doubt this team. I can't believe it. They won a chip. They can win another chip. They know how to play together. All this is going to depend on is how many Jaylen Browns, hey, every time he drives to the hoop. If he keeps that up, they got a good shot. If they keep that up, they got a good shot. If Jason Tatum can somehow seamlessly mesh into the system and not try to be the number one, that's going to work. And I think it's going to be a very, very exciting playoff series for the Boston Celtics. They got the 7th seed, so whoever wins, it's going to be the Magic or 76ers. That's a win regardless of who they play. And it's going to be interesting, man. It's going to be very fun. I think their toughest opponent, I mean, it's going to be tough, bro. It's going to be tough. Their prayers are that the Cleveland Cavaliers beat the Pistons. That's the prayers, because if they got to go through the Knicks and the Pistons, that's a tough road, man. That's a tough, tough road. I don't agree with anybody saying that the Celtics have a free ride to the finals. I think Celtics fans know they don't. I think Celtics fans, real Celtics fans, know that this is not going to be an easy road, man. It's not. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. If they make it to the finals, chat, we need to have serious conversations about whether or not Jaylen Brown deserves to go lead his own team. And there's going to be a lot of dangerous conversations coming this summer, and I'm here for it. I'm here for it. Now, on the very top of the conference, the Detroit Pistons. And, well, ladies and gentlemen, would you guys believe what I picked on the over-under? You know how disrespectful this was? I'm getting pissed off just looking at it again. The Pistons were projected to win 46.5 games. They won 44 last year. They predicted them to win 46.5. Well, the Pistons, for the third time in franchise history, won 60 games. And let's just cut the crap real quick, okay? If we just ignore the playoffs, let's imagine the playoffs don't happen. This was by far the best season I've ever had the privilege of watching my basketball team play basketball. There's no debate. Since I've been conscious, since I've been coherent enough to understand the rules of basketball, this was the best season I have ever seen my team play that I root for, ever. They haven't won 60 games since 2006. They did this year. So let's just sit here for another minute and enjoy what they did this year for all Pistons fans around the world. They were 39-13 against the Eastern Conference, 12-4 against their division. They were 28-13 on the road. They went 9-2 without Cade in the final stretch. I believe they went 14-4 without Cade on the season. I'm blown away with what I watched. Seeing the emergence of Cade, seeing the rise of Jalen Duren. And I literally said in my over-under, when I picked their over, I said Jaden Ivey's either going to be a Piston and extend next summer, or he's going to be traded by the deadline. And, well, ladies and gentlemen, I was right. He was traded at the deadline. And guess what? Trajan Langdon worked his magic again. He got Kevin Huerter for Jaden Ivey. Oh my God. I hate talking to people who don't watch basketball. Cade Cunningham has been back for 3 games now. And he's not Cade Cunningham yet. If you guys were to ask me what percentage Cade is at right now, I'd say Cade's at about 50 to 60%. I'd say he's at 50 or 60%. He's got another week off. So I think that's going to benefit Cade a lot. I think you're still going to see some rust off of Cade coming into the playoffs. But he's at like 50 to 60%. I think one good thing about Cade that you can rely on this year that you couldn't rely on last year is his playmaking. Ladies and gentlemen, if you guys actually watched Pistons basketball, which I know most of you don't, and that's okay to admit that most of you don't, okay? Cade Cunningham's playmaking has took another leap this year. If you've watched any Pistons, you would know how much of a leap I'm talking about. On nights where he's not really feeling it, he's still bringing you 15 to 20 assists every night. The Pistons are deep, man. Dennis Jenkins, Isaiah Stewart as a sixth man. Hell, Karis LeVert, he was a -9 all season. I don't know how the hell you manage a -9 net rating on a 60-win team, but he did it. Javonte Green, incredible signing. Bro, Javonte Green, he played all 82 games for the Pistons this year. Javonte Green played all 82 games for the Detroit Pistons this year. He was assigned at a veteran minimum. At a veteran minimum. Kevin Huerter was just a throw-in piece in the Jaden Ivey trade, and he's been averaging 14 points per game off the bench for the Pistons. Kevin Huerter averaging 14 a game. Now, if you ask me, Karis LeVert shouldn't get any minutes in the playoffs. He should absolutely not get any minutes in the playoffs. I think you bring Dennis Jenkins, Kevin Huerter, Ron Holland, Javonte Green, Isaiah Stewart, and Paul Reed off the bench, and that's it. Unfortunately, I believe JB Bickerstaff is having sexual relations with Karis LeVert, so I'm kidding. Not really. I'm kidding. No, but seriously, I think that's the lineup. No Sasser, no LeVert, nobody else. The rotation should be Cade Cunningham, Duncan Robinson, Ausar Thompson, Tobias Harris, Jalen Duren, and then off the bench, this is it. And I know we've been deep all year, but it's Dennis Jenkins, Kevin Huerter, Ron Holland, Javonte Green, Isaiah Stewart, and Paul Reed. That's it. Book it. Do not involve Sasser. Do not involve LeVert. Do not involve anybody else off that bench. I know we're incredibly deep this year, and I have a feeling JB Bickerstaff is going to try using his depth, but eventually he's going to have to learn. Listen, we got to cut this rotation down to like 8. He has to. It's going to be very interesting to see how JB Bickerstaff cuts his rotation in half. It's going to be very interesting. It's going to be very, very interesting. All I'll say is the only team I was really afraid of was the Cleveland Cavaliers. And, well, they picked them for the second round. So the Cavs picked them in the second round. So it's going to be very interesting, man. Going to be very, very interesting. I think if you go up against the Cavs, you got to go into the Paul Reed, Isaiah Stewart. You have to, because their front court is so big. You have to go into Isaiah Stewart and Paul Reed. If you're up against the Hornets, then you don't need to use Paul Reed. You can just use Stu. And hopefully we can see the Ron Holland in the playoffs, because last year we didn't get to really see him. He was a rookie. But yeah, I think we're going to trust him a lot now. And that's it, man. I'm just blown away by this team. I could sit here and cry in front of all of you. I'm incredibly blessed to have witnessed my team do this. I think the only way this season will be a disappointment for me, obviously losing to the first round, but that's not going to happen. But I think if they were up against the Cavs in the second round and you don't go to, if you lose, that's fine, but only if it goes to 7 games. But that's, again, losing at home. Obviously, I was just wanting this year. This year, I went into it saying the Pistons just need to win 1 playoff series. That was it. That was my expectation. I want to win 1 playoff home game, and I want to win 1 playoff series. That's all I wanted, right? And I've said it all the time. The Pistons are playing with house money all year long, just like the San Antonio Spurs. They're playing with house money all year long, and that's what matters, okay? But the unfortunate reality is expectations are placed on you when you achieve such success. It is. And by them getting 60 wins, only the 3rd time in franchise history that's happened, you have placed this unnecessary pressure on you. So going into the year, I said I want 1 playoff series win. 1. And now people are saying that their expectations should be the conference finals. As happy as that would make me, I have to be realistic with my team. And since they won 60 games, they're officially a contender. Whether I like it or not, I don't really like it, because now people are going to expect more out of this team. When I just wanted a playoff series and I was hoping we could have more time, this is the reality of things. I think Ausar Thompson is going to have an incredible rise. I think we're going to see Asar Thompson either thrive or and I think this goes without saying. Every team should try to take Asar Thompson out of the game. Every team. Every team. You're going to see players foul bait into Asar Thompson. You're going to see teams dare him to shoot. You're going to see teams triple team Cade. But you can't really do that anymore because Jalen Duren's improvement. Every team's goal is to get Asar Thompson off the court. Asar Thompson, if not for Victor Wembanyama, in my opinion, is an undisputed defensive player of the year. He's number one in every defensive metric. It's absolutely insane. And yeah, I think Asar is going to get extended this summer. I think Jalen Duren's going to get that 5-year, $200 million contract. I think Cade is going to get healthy. I think the first round playoff series should just be about getting healthy for Cade. And yeah, man, I enjoyed this season. Hopefully there's plenty more seasons to that I can look forward to, man. Hopefully. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I was going to do the Western Conference too, but this is going to be too long of an episode. I think tomorrow's episode, we're going to go over the Western Conference, and then we're going to give away our awards to MVP, Most Improved, Coach of the Year. We're going to give away our awards. So tomorrow's episode is going to be jam-packed as well. It's going to be, it's going to be fun. Somebody's saying, but the play-in is tomorrow. The play-in isn't until tomorrow night. So we still won't have any games to talk about tomorrow. So we will then do this tomorrow. So ladies and gentlemen, we're going to do the Western Conference overview tomorrow, as well as giving away our awards for the season. So most valuable player, most improved, sixth man of the year. Yeah, we're going to do that tomorrow. Okay, this is already a 52-minute episode. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I'd like to give a shout out to Okoro for coming through to the Twitch stream. Same with you, Deck. Shout out to everybody that's leaving the TikTok and coming through to the Twitch stream. I appreciate you very, very much. Yeah, TikTok, if you guys want more stream, be sure to swing on into the Twitch. That's Jay-Z Uncut on Twitch. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, the play-in begins tomorrow, which is insane. I'll see y'all again before the play-in, so don't you worry. Like I said, tomorrow's episode is going to be a banger as well, so don't miss it. All right, tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. Eastern. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, thank you for being here. Thank you for being you. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching/listening, and I'll catch y'all tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Eastern. We are still live on Twitch. I hope to see you guys pull up TikTok.